My name is Sarah. I am 20 years old now, but the story I'm about to tell you began when I was just 14. It is not an easy story to share. Even today, it hurts to recall those nights, the constant fear, and the hidden truth that lived inside my own house. But I want to tell it, because maybe it can open someone's eyes. Maybe it can save another girl like me. When I was young, I felt completely safe. My father was strict but loving, and I always felt protected in his presence. But life has a way of breaking things we think are permanent. My father had a sudden heart attack when I was only 13. That night is still agonizingly clear in my memory. Ambulance sirens, neighbors whispering, and my mother's endless crying. Everything shattered in a moment. After his death, my mother changed completely. She was only 30, left alone with me, and I watched her breaking every day. Relatives kept advising her to remarry, and eventually, loneliness is cruel. After one devastating year, she finally agreed. That is when Imran entered our lives. My stepfather was 38 tall, well-spoken, and at first glance, he seemed genuinely polite. He would bring me sweets, take my mother shopping, and try to act like the protective man of the house. Everyone praised him, saying, "Sarah is lucky to have such a caring stepfather." But I knew little about the shadows that hid behind his smile. At first, everything genuinely seemed fine. My mother finally looked happy, she laughed again, cooked special dinners, and started dressing like a young woman again. I cherished her happiness, so I stayed quiet. Even when I noticed things that felt undeniably strange, I told myself I was making it up. The strangeness was how Imran began to notice me too much. If I walked into the room, his eyes followed me. If I sat, he would ask unnecessary questions. "How is school, Sarah? You're growing up fast. You're looking beautiful these days." At first, I thought, maybe he's just trying to be a good dad. But soon, his words changed, his stares became heavier, and his compliments made my skin crawl. It wasn't the kind look of a father. It was something possessive and cold. One night, the invisible line was crossed. My mother was unwell and went to sleep early. I was in the living room finishing my homework when Imran came and sat down right beside me. Too close, much too close. His voice was soft, almost whispering. "Sarah, you should always trust me. I'm here for you more than your real father ever was." I froze. Something about his tone felt deeply wrong, manipulative. Then he placed his hand on my shoulder, slowly, in a way that wasn't fatherly at all. My heart instantly started racing like a trapped bird. I quickly stood up, mumbled I was tired, and ran into my room. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, did I imagine it? Was it just in my head? But it wasn't just my head. Over the weeks, his behavior grew bolder. If my mother wasn't around, he would find any pathetic excuse to come near me. "You shouldn't wear such clothes at home, Sarah," he said once, staring directly at me, making me feel shame for simply existing in my own space. Another time, when my mother had gone to the market, he knocked on my room's door, insisting, "I just want to check if you're okay." I pretended to be asleep, holding my breath until he finally left. I lived in constant, terrifying fear. I couldn't tell my mother. She was so happy with him, so convinced she had finally found a good, protective man. How could I possibly break her heart again? Who would even believe me? I knew the sad, cruel reality. People always blame the girl. They say, she must have done something. She must have attracted him. So, I stayed silent. Silent but utterly broken. At school, my friends noticed I had changed. I was no longer cheerful. I avoided talking about home, and my grades dropped sharply. Nights were the absolute worst. Every sound made me jump. I would feverishly lock my room, push a heavy chair against the door for extra security, and just pray he wouldn't try to enter. The house, which should have been my sanctuary, had become my cage. I lived with the silent terror for weeks, trapped between fear and shame. The pressure was eating me alive. I couldn't concentrate at school or laugh with my friends. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror without feeling disgust. Every time Imran walked past me, I felt like a prisoner inside my own home. Then one evening, everything changed. It was a Friday. My mother had gone to attend a wedding in the neighborhood, and I was again left completely alone with Imran. My heart sank the moment she stepped out of the door. I locked myself in my room, but minutes later, I heard footsteps outside. Imran returned from work earlier than expected. I tried to avoid him by staying hidden, but he called out, "Sarah, come here. I need to talk to you." My legs felt impossibly heavy, but I went. He was sitting in the living room smiling, but his eyes were sharp and predatory. "Why are you always avoiding me?" he asked. I mumbled something about studies. He stood up, walked closer, and whispered, "You don't need to be afraid of me. I care for you more than anyone else." I froze. His words felt poisonous, a psychological attack. Before I could even answer, my mother's voice suddenly echoed from the gate. She had returned earlier than expected. Imran immediately stepped back, instantly pretending to look at the TV. My heart pounded with pure, powerful relief. That day, I realized the full, terrifying truth. He was actively waiting for the right chance. And one day, he would not stop. I had two catastrophic choices: stay silent and let my life be destroyed, or somehow gather the impossible courage and speak the truth, no matter the cost. The final breaking point came soon after. It was a Friday again. My mother had gone to visit her aunt, and I was again left alone with him. I quickly locked myself in my room. Minutes later, I heard those familiar footsteps outside. He knocked softly. "Sarah, open the door. I need to talk to you," he said, his voice deceptively calm but heavy with expectation. I stayed silent. My hands shook violently as I pressed the chair tighter against the door handle. He knocked again, louder this time. "Don't act childish. I know you're inside." I felt trapped. My chest was so tight I couldn't breathe. I whispered to myself, "Ya Allah, help me." Then, a lifeline my phone buzzed. It was a message from my best friend, Aisha. "Hey Sarah, where are you? Can I call you?" Without thinking, I dialed her number. My shaky voice whispered, "Please, Aisha. Just stay on the call with me. Don't hang up." She could instantly hear the sheer panic in my voice. Within minutes, she told her parents, and they rushed to my house. When the doorbell rang loudly and unexpectedly, Imran panicked and stepped away. Aisha's father shouted from outside, and I quickly unlocked and opened the door. Imran's face turned pale. He tried to smile, pretending everything was normal. But Aisha's father looked directly at me and asked, "Sarah, are you okay? You look scared." Tears instantly filled my eyes. That was the first time I let the truth slip out, whispered in a breaking voice, "Uncle, I'm not safe here." That night, my secret was no longer a secret. Aisha's parents took me to their home that night. I cried for hours, finally telling them everything: how Imran stared at me, how he touched me, and how he knocked on my door whenever my mother wasn't around. They listened with incredible patience, their faces red with controlled anger. Aisha's father said firmly, "Sarah, you don't deserve this. Your mother must know the truth." The next day, they called my mother over. She was shocked, confused, and heartbroken. At first, she desperately refused to believe it. "No, Sarah, you must be mistaken. Imran loves us. He takes care of us." "How can you say such a thing?" Her denial crushed my heart, but I stood my ground. "Amy, I'm your daughter!" "Do you think I would lie about something like this? Look at me. Do I look happy? Do I look safe?" Tears poured down my face as I begged her to see my pain, not her misplaced hope. Silence filled the room. My mother trembled. Slowly, the terrifying reality sank in. She had been so blinded by her need for a partner that she hadn't noticed her own daughter's silent suffering. She broke down crying and hugged me tightly. "Forgive me, Sarah. I should have protected you." My mother confronted Imran immediately. His mask fell completely. He shouted, denied everything, and even cursed me for ruining his name. But my mother stood firm. For the first time, she saw the monster behind his fake smile. She packed his things and kicked him out of our lives for good. The days that followed weren't easy. Relatives whispered, neighbors judged, and society, as expected, tried to blame us instead of him. Some even said, maybe the girl misunderstood. Maybe she's making it up. Their words cut deep, but I didn't care anymore. I had spoken the truth, and my mother believed me. That was enough. Years passed. I grew stronger. I focused on my studies, determined to build a life where no man could ever silence me again. My mother worked hard, and together, we slowly rebuilt our world. Imran tried to contact us once, but we never answered. He became just a shadow in our past. Now at 20, as I share my story, I understand one thing crystal clear: silence protects the abuser, not the victim. If I had stayed quiet, I don't know what would have happened to me. But by speaking up, I not only saved myself, but I also gave my mother the strength to see the truth, too. My message is simple and crucial for every girl listening. If you ever feel unsafe, don't bury it inside. Speak up. Tell someone you trust. And my message for every parent: never ignore your child's words. Sometimes the enemy is not outside, it is inside the house. The dark truth of my stepfather nearly destroyed me, but it also made me stronger. Today, I am not just a survivor, I am a voice, and I will never let that voice be silenced again.